With me, Tamara P. I am Mr. Henry Nyamoya. Of course, remember on Ask Siasa, it's all about your opinion on matters politics, matters governance, matters state of the nation, of course, what is happening in your country, Kenya, who did what, where, when, why, and how, and also how much more or less is the taxpayer going to incur, how much more or less is is the government going to spend or incur, and not only do we ask local questions, but it's not talking overseas, because whatever happens in a country, in one way or another, is affected by whatever happens in other countries, right? So on Ask Siasa today, of course, the question that I am posing, because when you look at different countries in the world, one question or the major thing that these countries are looking at is trying to stabilize the economy, trying to ensure that its people are living in good conditions, trying to ensure that at the end of the day, the country is productive, and at the end of the day, that the expenditure is actually more or less, mostly less than what is actually incurred by the country. So, which raises the question that we are asking today on Ask Siasa. Looking at a country like Kenya, how can the Kenyan government actually participate 100%, or how can it contribute to stabilizing the country's economy, as well as ensuring that the common wananchi is actually living in a good environment, in a stable environment, in an environment that benefits him or her?
Thank you, Damara, for that question. That question has direct answers, and some answers will depend on what type of government is that. The system within that government. The incompetence of any government is caused by those leaders who have been elected and who are serving in various capacities within that government. Their capacity, their provisions. Actually, you see, with what is happening in our country, let me give our country, Kenya, as an example. It has become so difficult for us to stop corruption. There is no way that we can stabilize our economy when corruption is rampant, is everywhere, is in every department. The major cause of the downfalls regarding development in various sectors within any government, especially our government, Kenya, is caused by corruption. And who are these that have been elected to serve this government? The system, when we look at the system itself, who are these leaders? Integrity issues concerning these leaders. Okay, again, to stabilize an economy is not about all those leaders or the people top there. They are also supposed to involve taxpayers and to look for ways of involving each and every stakeholder. By stakeholder, I mean people who are eligible, who are enough to pay tax, who can pay tax. They are supposed to look for means of involving each and every person in paying tax or to pay tax. So in so doing, and then we look for measures of stopping corruption completely, because we can as well correct tax, of course. We can as well involve all stakeholders in correcting tax, but at the end of the day, what has been corrected ends up in the pockets of people who are corrupt or leaders who are corrupt. And again, to reflect on this government, let me give you an example of the leaders we elected. Actually, it's as if some of the most leaders who are elected, I don't know, African countries, or is our country alone, or what? It's as if some of them are worse people. those people who are used in some businesses that they are not open. No, there are businesses that we call dark markets, which are done in dark markets secrets. So that's worse. Money laundering. Are you seeing this, Tamara? Those people cannot spearhead the country into anywhere. So, for any economy to grow, for any state to grow, you must be very careful on the type or with the type of leaders that you elect. And again, you elect into power. Because they are the leaders who will spearhead development within that country. So, like our country now, by the way, and it's a reality. If you ask a question, some of the questions are unanswerable, unanswerable, is that if we really want to revive the economy, what then are we missing? What weapon are we missing to spearhead our economy, or to revive our economy, or for our economy to grow? What are we missing? Is it that we elected people who are not who are unprofessional, who are not qualified? Are you seeing this, my sister? So normally, what happens with our politics? Those who cut the day, who win, determines a lot what people they nominate, they elect to serve the government in various capacities. You are seeing now what is happening in Kenya Power. You are seeing now what is happening in IPRA. We are seeing now what is happening in the Ministry of Energy. You are seeing how you have heard what is happening, what has happened with our pipeline. Yesterday, Uganda voted overwhelmingly in this National Assembly in Parliament to stop transporting fuel through the Kenyan pipeline. And Tanzania also has done the same. Are you aware? So, where are we heading to? Because of what? Because of heavy taxation. And another thing, there is this perception of thinking that if we tax heavily, is when we might incur the expenditure, maybe the debts, or we can solve the problem of debts within the country. No. What I'm saying, we must involve all stakeholders. We must come out with a framework that will enable each and every Kenyan who is who can pay tax to pay tax without feeling any weight. Yes.
And just to ask you a question on that, because earlier on in the year, we had President Ruto. He actually announced that Kenya is actually now, the economy is actually stable.
Yes.
Stating that what we are looking at right now is an economy that is built, or is a country that is built, an economy that is built through the taxes that are collected, and not the debt that their people are incurring, like outside, like the borrowing of now this particular regions, the country from other international entities, And you mentioned the issue of taxation. So, a question that even every single person can ask, like, yes, it is okay to find, first of all, you have to pay tax.
Yeah, you have to pay.
As a Kenyan, you have to pay tax, But then again, how do we bring about now that, let's say, point where Kenyans do not feel like they're overtaxed, or Kenya is not also undertaxing and then thriving on debt?
Yes, my sister. This is actually what I've said. I've said we must involve. We must come out with a framework on how we are supposed to stabilize or to balance the correction of tax. By raising tax, we cannot achieve a lot from the people who are economically down, who are not stable economically. You see, like now, Let me give an example of former President, late President Kibaki. Kibaki realized almost 70% of the people cannot afford paying tax. So what he did, he reduced tax into 80%. Do you know what he meant? In order to meet, or in order to enable those people down there who cannot be able to pay 1,000. You know, like now, let me give another example. We have people who had 5 businesses. You know, they have reduced. I'm giving an example. Like maybe you have 5 businesses, you have a shop somewhere, you have a transport, you have and what. Because of high taxation, people now have stopped doing businesses. People have started evading tax because of what? High taxation. And the regime, the system that we have, I don't know where these are. They thought that I don't know what made them to come up with an idea that if they overtax is when they will meet the requirements that a country wants to grow. Are you seeing this, Tamara?
No.
So that we are saying we must involve all stakeholders. A country, you cannot revive the economy of a country without involving all stakeholders. And the stakeholders are taxpayers. You know.
No.
Now, everything is raised in our country. Fuel is up there against our neighboring countries. And what is that? Everything. So that's why we are saying we must involve each and every stakeholder.
Yeah. Now, I was just trying to look at what is happening in Malawi because the president, that is Lazarus Chakwera, has actually said, tough measures need to be taken in order to heal the nation's economy. Malawi's economy is also not okay or not stable,
Yeah.
And part of the things or part of the reforms that they're trying to make in order to revive the economy is that with immediate effect, all foreign trips for himself as well as his cabinet have actually been suspended until March next year so that the country can be able to save money. Is this a move that, if done in Kenya, you see would probably work or contribute to at least bringing sanity to the country, considering the fact that at Juicy, we saw there were very many negative, okay, not very many, but there were some negative remarks on different leaders in Kenya traveling to different parts of, even just in Kenya, just to plant trees,
Yes.
and a lot of money is going to be spent on that as well. So is that something that can work in Kenya, or will it be, and also what is the negative side? Because if you're not doing international trips,
suspension, by suspending the cabinet itself cannot, that's one part. We are saying we have to look for measures and ways of reviving the economy. So by suspending the cabinet itself,
no, the cabinet travels.
Travels.
Yes, international travels.
So what we are saying, even we talked this about this last 2 weeks ago, Tamara, here, in this same show. Our president has traveled a lot, and we realize that every trip is costing taxpayers money 120 million times 41 trips. Just last week, he went to Saudi Arabia and came back. You know what they are doing? They are traveling in the name of going to, in the name of initiating projects within the country, of creating other avenues of creating income within the country of Kenya. But we are not seeing any. Are you seeing this? So by suspending, to me what I'm saying, we have to reduce our cabinet, our ministries from 22 to even 12. We reduce our ministries from 22 to 12. Are you getting this? We stop unnecessary foreign trips. We stop unnecessary foreign trips. Some of them, like the ones we have been seeing. have no income to our country,
No.
have no benefit to the common mananchi in Kenya who is languishing down there. Are you seeing this? That's true. Number 3, you mentioned about the planting of trees. That's one part of growing an economy, because that's one part of changing our climate and actually that's one part of growing our economy. You see, so we cannot. There is no problem if only the money that is meant to do this project is spent properly. What we are doing in our country, we plan some things that in another way around, we are scheming on how we are going to get something out of these trips, get something out of the planting of trees. Are you seeing this? So what is rampant in our country is corruption. What is making everything in our country to be stagnant or not moving is corruption. So, number 3, if we reduce corruption, I think you are counting from where I started, reducing number of ministries, foreign unnecessary, not even foreign, unnecessary trips that is meant to cost the taxpayers money. Okay, number 3, we stop corruption completely. Because if we are involved, or any process that we are doing is involved with corruption, then nothing will happen. Even if we collect tax up to the last person down there, when it comes up here, it will be misused or mismanaged. Are you saying this, my brother and my sister? So again, we reduce the number of counts. That's to me. We know. So if we reduce, according to 2010 draft constitution, we were supposed to have 14 counts. Now, because of politics, we added up to 47 to balance politicians, to meet the requirements of politicians. So that's another key or another sector. Number 5.
Well, before you get to number 5, reducing the number of counties. Okay, in your opinion, yes, reducing the number of counties. Like right now, we have 47 counties, and we still have regions and areas that are underrepresented or even not represented at all. So, wouldn't reducing now the number of counties actually also minimize the number of people that are actually going to be reached out to in terms of development, in terms of resources? Let's look at like the marginalized areas, for example.
Okay, let me answer you, Tamara. That's how we think. But remember, administration has people up to the sublocation, up to down there. There are other key leaders up to the ground. By reducing a governor, si kuna mugao unapeanwa kulingana. Even now, counts as peano mugao equally. They are given according to the population, if you are aware. So, okay. Sana, the problem we have is corruption. That's where we need to work or tuangazie zaidi. So for any economy to be stable or to stabilize any economy, it needs a lot. Number 1, the leaders must have one mission and one vision, and that's working for the people of that country, regarding the population within that country.
And you've mentioned that, and we saw like yesterday, the opposition leader, the Kenyan opposition leader, came out with some sort of an expose about the oil situation in Kenya and the oil procurement process in Kenya. Of course, giving out certain demands, like the government should actually make public the memorandum of understanding that was signed between Kenya and Saudi as well as the UAE, the oil, and then now we saw in response Kimani Ichung'wah stating that this is actually a plot that the opposition or this other party is trying to reintroduce so that they can try and introduce the fuel as well as the food subsidies that were benefiting those who were previously in power, saying that unajua ni siasa lakini siasa mbaya, you know. So part of it, in regards to actually also bringing understanding to the economy, could be the openness or the accountability of certain things, like these treaties that the country is signing. But to what extent is publicizing it going to be beneficial for the country?
You know, with the sentiments from Kimani Ichung'wah.
No.
Kimani Ichung'wah is in this government. Is one of the leaders who are supposed to advise the president. But instead, they are involved in corruption. What else do you expect? You expected to come out of the mouth of Kimani Ichung'wah, rather than supporting what they are doing? So you see, there are things going on within our country, and that will make Kenya, our country, actually to be pushed into the war. Why am I saying so? I don't want to dwell on the issue of fuel, but if you may ask also yourself a simple question: why then we only, Kenya, are we having this problem of fuel than other neighboring countries? Uganda, you had yesterday, Uganda is going to block us. We are not going to pass. They are not going to use our pipeline. Likewise to Tanzania, because of high taxation, because the way they are taxed. Where is this money that is taxed? You know what Kenyans are asking. Of course, they are telling us, so let us overtax so that we revive the economy. Really? How do you expect to tax few people and revive the economy without involving the percentage of the population? This is what we are asking. Okay, why could we give one company without even following proper procurement processes to import fuel, an individual, without following proper procurement processes? Okay, with what happened just recently, 2 to 3 days ago, I'm talking about the story of Annie Wamboi. Annie Wamboi. What is the other name? Annie Njeri.
Yes.
Don't you think that there is something that is not properly told with what you are saying? If our minds are clear, there is something. This is an indication that fuel has risen because of corruption within Kenya Power. I mean, Ministry of Energy. You know, you cannot tell Kenyans that I went to see the Minister for Energy, and again at the same time the Minister for Energy comes out defending himself that you went to see him with fake what? Papers. Did you see that? After realizing that nimekuletea fake as kafadi fake, kwa nini uliniacha nikaenda? Mbona hukunisika? If you ask another question, why was this mama kept until 4 days? What was going on there? What did they come out with? Was she guilty or not guilty? Are you seeing this? We are not told. I simply want to tell you that whatever is happening within this government, even if Kimani Ichung'wah comes out several times, even 1 million times, defending this government, it is not straight. They are taxing, they are milking Kenyans they are doing whatever they are doing for the sake of Kenyans. Yeah.
And so, dear viewers, of course, on Ask Siasa today, we asked the question: how can the Kenyan government participate, or how can it contribute to stabilizing the country's economy? Of course, relating it to what is currently happening in Malawi, or some of the measures that have been taken in order to heal the Malawi's economy. And of course, from Mr. Henry Nyamoya, some of the things that he's talked about, of course, is the issue of corruption, which is a major issue, not only in Kenya, but in the world at large. We also have the payment of taxes, which is something that every Kenyan should pay, but a system should actually be put in place to ensure that